Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here for more Daily D&T. Going into round 4. And we'll keep this hand. Man, it's nice to have an Ether Vial opener after a few rounds of that not happening. Still a little sad that we timed out yesterday. But again, we had that game on lockdown. And we get to do the old trusty Swamp Aether Vial opener. Confuse the ever-loving heck out of our opponents. No, we're doing that so we can't get Wastelanded on turn 1. Well, we don't really care about getting Wastelanded if the Vial resolves. If the Vial doesn't resolve and, like, my Scrubland got Wastelanded and, like, Vial got forced, we might be in a touchy spot. And so now I'll have to think about whether I want to just cast this Thalia or if I want to play patiently and put it in off of Vial. It really depends on what my opponent is playing. So like if they're Ant, for example, I just want to like slam the Thalia and effectively win the game on the spot. But if they're a control deck, I would much rather play patiently. All right. C-FYML0527. Any data on you? No data on you. Drawing another Thalia would, ooh. I'm going to cast the Thalia here because I think, not knowing what the matchup is, I probably value this Bob more than the Thalia. Like, the ability to go Mom into Bob uncounterably and potentially force an action here is very strong. So if my opponent uses their turn to answer the Thalia, then I have Mom and Bob right around the corner. Smells like Ant. But still could not be Ant. Regardless of what my opponent is playing, this Bob is going bye-bye. I could have left the Mom in hand to give my opponent that choice, but I didn't want to do that. Oh wow, the Revoker is going. So I guess it is Ant, or like Sneak and Show or something. Or not Sneak and Show. It's probably Ant. What do I value more? I could just like Recruiter and get another Revoker. Or I can just, if I hold this in hand next turn, I can Recruiter for Prelate, and it just kind of like lights out on the game. I'm not going to attack with the Mom. I'm about 95% sure that my opponent is Ant, since they took that Revoker last turn. But that's not 100%. Like, if my opponent concedes in the next turn cycle, I will be boarding for Ant. Oh, right, I don't have Sanctum Prelate in the main deck. Thank you for everyone who is yelling at your screen already. I guess we'll take another Revoker. And if my opponent starts playing out some sweet stuff, we'll remove it. I would love confirmation that they are Ant before they concede. But again, pretty sure. And that was a no shuffle. So note, if you're playing black-white taxes, let your bob trigger resolve before your vial to give you the most information about what you're going to do with your turn. Jailer? I mean, yeah, sure, I guess. So I can attack for 5, followed by 9, which is 14. So I don't need to attack at the mom still. A wealth of riches. Yeah, I don't know what you're brainstorming for to get you out of this. Yeah. Alright. Cabal. Plague Engineer. Freebooters. Surgicals. Rest in peace. Prelate. Start with Swords of Plowshares and Jitte out as a starting point. What was I doing before or after that? The Jailer. I don't have a Tomic. I'll probably cut a Wisp. And then I can make decisions from there. I have a little bit more stuff than normal, perhaps. So since I have more like 2-drop plays, like Bob and Freebooter, I'll probably junk a couple of Stoneforge Mystics. I think I played against Ant earlier this league, and I kind of went back and forth about like whether Stoneforge, Flicker, Whisper, Crusader were the things that you should cut at this point. This seems good to me. Nope. Yes. Get out, Batterskull. So we have multiple Thalias. That's a great start. So against Ant, when possible, you would like to have multiple hate pieces. So that when one gets thought seized away, you have the opportunity to redeploy another. And now I have to make a choice this turn. So the choice is, do I just want to say, you have this turn to go off and then I play a Thalia, or do I want to snap off a Wasteland? So their lands tell a story, right? So they start on Misty Rainforest, showing that they perhaps don't have another black fetch in their hand. So they might not have another land, or at least it's one that can't get island. The issue with just going and wastelanding this turn is that they can ponder or preordain or brainstorm this turn to try and find another Thoughtseize to take a second Thalia on the next turn. But generally speaking, dragging the game on is going to favor me, so I'm going to take the reset here. So yeah, there we see them not being able to produce black. So this is exactly what I talked about before. So they have the opportunity to preordain into another piece of discard. Okay, we have gotten another turn. Actually, super stoked to see another Thalia as the draw there. It's optimal to play the port this turn, but I don't want to show them that I drew that yet. So I'm going to play the Thalia instead. They may just have an answer to it. And if they do, so be it. This is interesting. So the scenarios where I lose involve an end of turn chain of vapor to bounce Thalia, and then they go off on their turn. So if I just play out another creature, it doesn't actually help me to not lose in this scenario. So I'm going to play out a Mother of Runes instead, and then port down the black source on their turn, assuming that Thalia gets bounced. Thalia does not get bounced. Okay, now how does that change things? Massacre is now the thing that needs to be on my mind. We're going to port down the black source to make it harder for them to actually go off. I'll feel pretty good if I get to untap. But opponent clearly has something to think about over there. If I get to untap, I'll probably just be playing Recruiter of the Guard for Sanctum Prelate. And putting that on 4 will eliminate Massacre as an out to my Thalia. Ooh, nice. Nice, 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 nice. Actually, super stoked about that draw as well. If I had any other 2-drop, I would probably do that and port. Rather than take the lines that I've taken this turn. But just kind of giving them a 1-turn window to both have Massacre and go off, I think is acceptable for otherwise locking out the rest of the game. I think my opponent has a Brainstorm. Just based on the upkeep pause that we saw, what was that, 2 turns ago now? Alright, so there is the Massacre. It appears that they do not have it yet. No, they do have 9 cards in hand right now. They'll have 7 after the Brainstorm, so there's a very good chance that they could go off. But if they can't go off and they just have to, like, Thoughtseize me, I am in a great, great position. Alright. Could be dead. Oh, YOLO preordain? Well, I guess they know what's on top from the brainstorm. And they chose not to just make a bunch of goblins. They could have left empty on top and like emptied for 12 goblins. They chose not to do that. So they must have like an ad nause or something there. They need a lotus petal or a dark ritual to do anything. Oh, okay, hold on. That probably leaves me dead. Yes, because they can get hellbent. Alright. I think we're going to go ahead and submit the same way. We knew that Massacre was one of the ways that we could lose this one. We tried to play around it by going and getting the Recruiter. Kind of the only thing I could have done differently is not played around Chain of Vapor to better play around Massacre. So I don't love this hand because one piece of discard makes it kind of weak. But mulliganing to beat discard is kind of a dubious proposition in the first place. So I will go ahead and keep this one. I would... Oh, my opponent has mulliganed to 5. Cool. So just to throw this out there, because we are playing a splash build, many of our disruptive cards that we could draw, I actually can't cast with this hand. So if I draw a freebooter, I cannot cast that. But it looks like we're going to get to Thalia here, which I am pleased about. It was a shuffle with the Ponder. Don't do this. Don't do that. It's bad. Unless my opponent is playing Fatal Push, this is a pretty free attack, so I'm going to take it. But after this turn, I will just be holding up the Mom. I don't really have a way to play around Massacre currently, unfortunately. And I don't think I want to dedicate 2 turns worth of mana to Stoneforge. So I'm going to put them in the position where their normal, just Abrupt Decays, Echoing Truths, Chains of Vapors aren't going to be good, and it's going to have to be Massacre. I'm not sure if I'll just be porting yet. Less incentivized to port now that they have a third mana source. I can still keep them off of main phase black, potentially, though. Hey, that's not a bad draw. So I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm going to give them a one-turn window to go and find the Massacre and go off, or I probably lock them out with Prelate. If I didn't have my own Thalia in play, I would have considered doing a Surgical on one of their cards just to kind of like see if they had the Massacre already. All right, and we're 3-1, really kind of effectively 4-0. I just timed out that one match, and we'll be back for the last day of Daily D&T for this week tomorrow.